Probably gold. Oh, map bans. So we are going to have SoA is going to ban Warhead Junction, or SoA. eStar will ban Garden of Terror because no one likes Garden of Terror. Battlefield of Eternity will be the first pick for SoA, which is an interesting. I didn't get to read the rest of the maps. It's okay. How many matches have been played? XP Kun, we've only played eStar versus Hots Lady, which was 2-0. And we are currently moving in to eStar versus SoA. So 1 set, 2 games have been played. We are going to move on to the next best of 3, however. eStar versus SoA on Battlefield of Eternity. This is a 2-lane map. In my experience, 2-lane maps are sort of the easiest to get out drafted on. eStar is an exceptional team with deep hero pools that really understand the dynamic of how to be aggressive on 2-lane maps to win them really, really hard. So I'm a little bit concerned that SoA actually picked this map. I'm hoping that they practice this map extensively, that this is one of their favorite maps. This is the map that they feel the most confident on, and they want to go into this with a momentum build up. They want to win their first game and then push into winning the next one. ETC is going to be the ban for eStar again. At this point, it's just ETC. At this point, eStar has just got to be like, we don't like ETC. That's 100% of it. They've banned ETC with their first ban, regardless of if they were first or second pick in all of their games. Samuro is going to be the ban for SoA. I guess they were watching that last game. Samuro is actually the #1 racer on the Immortal right now. For those of you who are curious, there is a sort of mental list that I keep about who races the Immortal the fastest, what potential builds work the fastest. There's some builds specific to some heroes that help them race the Immortal faster, but Samuro currently the #1 Immortal racer. Just does so much damage. Murden is going to be the pickup for eStar with the ETC banned out. That means SoA is going to be kind of forced in picking up Tychus to counter the Murden. We used that first pick there, but they can pick their tank. They can pick Johanna, they can pick Tyrael, and depending on how confident they feel in their flex choices for their frontline, they could potentially save their tank for the second round of picks, and if they do that, I imagine eStar is going to ban a tank just to limit their options. Nope, they're not going to risk it. They do end up picking up the Tyrael right there. I think that's the safe choice. I was kind of hoping they would be a little bit more confident in the depth of their tank roster, but we'll have to see how that goes. And we are going to have the second and third picks going over to eStar. Malfurion is available. We haven't seen Malfurion picked up yet for eStar tonight, just because it has been prioritized highly by the teams they've been drafting against. They're still going to prioritize Tassadar. Vision is, of course, critical on this map if you're going for the team fights around the Immortal. Greymane, Vala, and Samuro are the top 3. Certain heroes with certain builds edge them out a little bit. Butcher actually used to be #1, but after his rework, he is not. And we are going to see Vala Tassadar picked up for eStar. Again, they're just going with this combo. It's worked for them so far. Vala, as we were just discussing, is one of the top Immortal racers in the game, giving them that incredible damage. Butcher is still a good racer once his meat stacks are finished, but 125 meat stacks on Battlefield of Eternity is a tall order. It's very difficult to do early on. Ariel is going to be banned out for SoA, again, denying that Ariel-Vala Tassadar synergy, which is so incredibly hard to deal with. Vala just puts out so much raw damage that it feeds back into Ariel, giving her hope, and that means Vala can play aggressively because she's constantly getting the heals, especially after 7 with Bursting Light taken for the 2-second cooldown, and Tassadar also covering any shortfall, potentially, with the shields. It's just one of those combinations that is so incredibly hard to deal with that the best solution is actually just to ban it. Just to ban it. It's just the way it is. Malfurion is going to be banned out for eStar, denying one of the strong supports in the current. That's actually two of the 3 strongest supports at the moment. SoA is going to pick up that Rhaegar for the burst heal. Rhaegar actually one of the supports that's best at the race just because of Lightning Shield at level 1 plus the extra damage from Wolf Lunge. His and having the burst heal is going to matter quite a bit. We did see in the last game there was a lot of damage going on to single targets consistently. eStar's Focus Fire was quite strong. Dahaka also going to be a pickup for SoA. Dahaka was actually banned across the board on BOE for quite a long time. Because there were some bugs associated with Vision and his burrow sounds, but it looks like those have been fixed because he's being allowed back into the official tournaments. And we're actually going to see Damage Kharazim picked up for eStar, it looks like. I'll be curious to see what trait they end up going for. I imagine we're going to see Iron Fists. Kharazim was recently reworked a little bit and sort of re-released. His damage build seems to be all the new hotness at the moment. Everyone is very in love with it. And Greymane picked up as well for eStar. So that's a lot of value from Leeching Plasma, a lot of value from Kala's Embrace from Tassadar, and Kharazim for the real healing. Wow, that is going to be a lot of race. Raynor is the pickup for SoA. The boys are back. Tychus and Raynor. Inspire is going to do quite a bit of work in helping to race the Immortal, but even though they have Tassadar, I really do think eStar is a little bit ahead in the race. What build? Oh, the Vala build for Racing the Immortal is actually a Q build with Monster Hunter at 1 because it does do increased damage to the Immortal. You'd have to give up Hot Pursuit, which means you give up some of your mobility and some of your mana sustain, but it's worth it for the race. Battlefield of Eternity is a map where the objective is so incredibly strong that drafting around winning it 100% of the time is incredibly valuable. Which is why we tend to see more auto attack heroes picked up on this map than on any other map. Notice neither team has mages, neither team banned mages. Li Ming actually is a pretty effective racer. She even has a specific build for racing that is popular in the Chinese meta, but she just seems to be... She is overshadowed by a number of heroes. We are going to see Transcendence be the pickup for Kharazim. It is going to be healing Kharazim. No Iron Fists today. We're going to see Block picked up for Muradin, despite the fact there is a Tychus on their team. Primal Aggression for Dahaka for the wave clear. Lightning Bond for Rhaegar for the race. And we're actually not seeing Q-Build out of Vala. She is going still for that Hot Pursuit. She wants the maneuverability. She wants to be able to kite constantly, as we saw in the previous game, and get full value out of that Tassadar. I know who asked. Hi, McIntyre. McIntyre. I always want to say I always want to say Mick. Hi, McIntyre. Shout out to McIntyre watching the stream. You guys should check out his YouTube channel if you haven't. He releases a number of good play guides, talent guides, breaks things down very nicely. We are going to see Greymane versus Dahaka in the top lane. I like, actually, Greymane as a solo laner, just because even though he doesn't have self-sustain, he has such good escape potential, he has such good outplay potential, he can do so much damage, and he actually, with the cocktail, clears the wave relatively efficiently, that I think that in the hands of a really good player, he's just extremely safe. And we see him played as a solo laner quite a bit in the Chinese and the Korean metas where necessary. What's with this brightness? That's just the clean feed. That's just the way it is. I got nothing for you guys. It's just the way the stream is. We're going to see a dive in onto Tychus. He does end up going down. eStar Panda H aggressively securing that kill. And they actually also get the Tychus. That is 2 for none. Vala lives purely because of the Tash Shields. Actually vaults in aggressively, gets the Tyrael, and Tassadar... Oh, the drag! The drag! The burrow, the Brush Stalker in from Dahaka gets the drag onto a no-health Vala. Ends up securing that kill. And that would have been just so incredibly bad for SoA if they'd lost 3 heroes and not secured any of those kills. They do get the Vala playing so aggressively. Hot Pursuit almost got her out of that, but not quite. And we are gonna have a pause. That fight was nuts. That fight was just absolutely nuts. No, looks like we are back in the game. Both teams said go, go, and we are going to have SoA on top of their Immortal trying to race. We have Greymane on top of eStar's Immortal. The rest of eStar is going to rotate for the delay, make sure that they maintain as much of the shield as possible. We do see Greymane already forcing the transition on his own, which is one of the crazy things about Greymane. He can just race the Immortal so fast, you don't even need help. And we're going to see eStar pick so low. Bala is just playing with fire all game long. We saw it last game too. She just believes in that Tassadar. XC believing in me, trying to just always put as much damage on, always put as much pressure onto SoA as she can, abusing that hot pursuit, abusing the Tassadar shields to just constantly have that pressure, rotating down, getting that soak as well, and XC's Vala is just insane. I understand why eStar is prioritizing her so highly in their drafts. And we are going to see again Greymane Dahaka in the top lane with a 4-man push. Murden did have to back for mana. He's going to be a little tiny bit late for the push, but it doesn't even matter. As long as Vala is here, I think they could just sort of win this game. A little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm very impressed by XC's Vala play so far tonight. We are going to see quite a bit of passive healing. As long as Monk has something to attack, he can just do so much passive healing with that Transcendence, and that's going to keep everyone topped off. Murden is here now. They're going in. We do see Tyrael trying to shield the minion wave with Righteousness, trying to get some value out of that, trying to keep his minion wave for as long as possible. Just doing everything they can to delay this push, to try and get some free damage. They don't want to lose a fort to the first Immortal. They really don't want to have that happen. We do see Dahaka again with the burrow in, gets the drag onto Murden. Murden actually is secured by that amazing burst damage from Raynor plus Tychus, and they do end up getting killed. Greymane, meanwhile, in the wall top, going to get the entire top wall. So they end up trading 1 kill for 2 full walls, and eStar comes away having a full level lead. Not entirely sure that was worth it. Greymane did have to back. He got significantly chunked pushing into those towers, but he is going to just back and rotate back to the top lane, and meanwhile SoA taking any advantage they can out of the temporary strength they have in their stronger 4-man versus 3 and grabbing the bottom siege camp, which eStar will be able to clear out very, very quickly. Again, passive healing from Karazim, just going to keep everyone topped off very nicely. Talent tier 7 picked up for eStar. We are going to see, I believe that is Earth Ally, the new reworked Karazim talents. It's going to do a lot of work. It reduces basic attack damage. It's not like block where it's per hit. It just straight up reduces basic attack damage, which means it's going to be just as effective against Tychus as it is against Raynor. Full multi-shot build for Vala, and we're going to see the that's not the new level 7 talent, but it's the moved level 7 talent for Karazim to buff his W. Actually, not 100% certain what that talent does anymore. I don't remember Karazim's new talent tree. Oh, it is Heavenly Zeal, increasing the movement speed from his W from 10% to 25%. That's going to make everyone in his team faster. It does not stack with Hot Pursuit, but it is going to make Greymane faster. It is going to make Murden faster, and it's going to make Tassadar faster. It's going to make them an extremely mobile team, which is actually something that's critical against Tyrael compositions, because if you're... Adrenaline Rush did not kick in there, ladies and gentlemen. It was not on cooldown. It was available. It just did not happen because the burst was real. Raynor got erased. The dive in from the Murden with the stun, and then everyone focusing fire at the same time. That's the sort of thing that you don't want to see happen right as the Immortal race comes up. And SoA getting basically 0 damage on the Immortal. eStar again forcing the transition. And as I was saying, the movement speed for Karazim is actually quite strong, because one of the benefits of having Tyrael on your team is that everyone moves a little bit faster. We do see he did pick up the movement speed on Smite at level 4, making instant team faster for longer. But Karazim is pretty much going to negate that advantage. Tyrael's not going to be able to run circles around him the way Tyrael teams normally are able to do. We are going to see Murden getting that Stormbolt in, creating space for his team, allowing them to back up. But Vala's not backing up. She's just like kiting backwards. She's like, come into my playhouse. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna get Tassadar shields. You're gonna take damage. This is how this is gonna work. XC is just doing so much damage. Backs up as soon as Dahaka goes in. Dahaka was looking for that drag, but Vala is just so mobile. It's such a tough target to get. We are going to see her avoiding the bush as soon as Tassadar grants vision past that and see them retreating, and they are going to be able to pick up another Immortal and get another kill onto Raynor. Raynor's so incredibly fragile. He really does need that Adrenaline Rush to actually proc, and he's getting blown up so fast that it's just not happening. Dahaka with the burrow is going to try and live through this. But, that cleanse, denying the Stormbolt stun from making him stop. He has managed to walk out. We know that was a cleanse because of the beautiful little animation that now exists for cleanse, which is so cool, a little swirly light effect. Really glad Blizzard added that in. 10 is going to be picked up here for eStar. We're going to have Go for the Throat, Force Wall, Avatar, Strafe. And I'm kind of curious what we're going to see from Kharazim. Is this going to be more of a damage-focused Kharazim with 7-sided, even though he hasn't been going for healing and utility? Or is it going to be that Palm to deny the kill and just make sure Vala stays alive no matter what? eStar Panami is a little bit low, but he can stay in the back. And again, as long as Kharazim has something to attack, he can eventually passively heal up his entire team. It looks like this is going to be an early keep for eStar. This is going to be an 8-minute and 17-second keep, more or less, with the Greymane pushing in, with Vala pushing in. They're doing so much single-target damage that this is just going to be absolutely gone. And it was 8 minutes and 11 seconds. They burned it down even faster than I thought they would. Muradin, Tycho's actually forced to leave his own base. Tyrael tries to leave his own base as well to live, but ends up getting picked off before that happens. They are going to get the tower, and they are actually going to get a lot of damage onto the well. If that well goes down, it makes it very difficult to continue to contest Immortals later on into the mid and late game. But on the other hand, if the core dies, that won't matter at all, and eStar is just going to go for core and end the game. Yeah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. On Battlefield of Eternity, it's the easiest map to get out drafted on. And if you get out drafted hard, they're going to be, sub-10 minute games. And I think that eStar played exceptionally well, but they also just outdrafted SoA so incredibly hard because their race was better, their sustain was better, and their team fight was better. Like, there was no of the 4 main categories you really need to have on that map. They won in all 4 of them in the draft. And then they played it out perfectly and just decimated SoA. That was brutal to watch. Looks like we have some meta discussion with McIntyre in chat. If you guys watching the stream, I encourage you guys to check out chat. McIntyre dropping some knowledge about what we're probably going to see coming up in HGC. And I actually agree with his analysis. We're going to see a lot of TAS Vala because TAS Vala has close to 100% win rate in pro play right now. It's actually ridiculously strong. And then you're going to see a bunch of things that enable TAS Vala even more, particularly globals and Zarya with Q build. Zarya Q build gives a lot of poke, and it actually turns her into an actual ranged assassin with shields. She's just a ranged assassin with shields, so it gives her a lot of utility. We don't actually watch the stream, we just full screen chat. I mean, it's your time. In between games, again, I'm going to give some shout out to followers. XP Kuhn, Valum, Gorn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, K2U3, Erevi, and Hypno69. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate it a lot. Again, I don't have the pop-up on stream just because I don't want to interfere with the cast. But in between games, I will be doing shout outs. So if you guys toss me a follow and you want your name shouted out, I will do that for you. And we are going to go on to Game 2. This is the eStar pick, Infernal Shrines. We saw a short game on Infernal Shrines earlier with eStar. Actually not even a short game. It got level 20 to level 20, but they were basically ahead all game, and they ended up getting cocky, a little bit overconfident, and took a fight they shouldn't have, and as a result, the game ended up going longer than it should have. But eStar knows how to play Infernal Shrines. They got ahead, and they stayed ahead pretty much the entire game. One little tiny mistake allowed their opponents to catch up, but they're a scary team to play against. There's a lot of good options for the Shrine Babysitter Shrine Babysitter slot in the depth of their hero pools. So it's going to be a scary, scary game for SoA. With a nerf to Iron Forge Momentum, I actually think Skullcracker is ridiculous. I think you're going to see a lot of Skullcracker in pro play over the next few weeks. We are going to go into game 2 here momentarily. It looks like the draft is just getting set up. Not too long. In the meantime, I am reading chat. If anyone has any comments, anyone has anything they want to share. Skullcracker with a few modifications was made an interesting level 20 talent for some hero. Is there another hero that's really focused enough around stuns in their lore to justify that? Because they took away the stun at 16 for Falstad, both because they thought it was too powerful and because it didn't really fit with the idea of the hero in Warcraft. Caden Sky, if anyone prefers Monk with Insight at 1 instead of Heal, is he wrong or not? I don't play Monk. It's not a question of wrong or right with Insight Monk. Insight is... I mean, when Insight Monk first happened, someone actually did an extensive math thread on Reddit, which I encourage you to look for, and you can show it to your friend. But basically, the numbers came down to, in theory, if you're constantly auto-attacking, Insight Monk was actually more damage, because it was close to more damage at least, just because the uptime on Deadly Reach was so high. And it was close to more healing if you were healing 3 or more targets consistently. If you were trying to heal 1 target consistently, which is what you will be doing in high-level play, where focus fire is a thing, Transcendence was just better, right? So Insight's like not bad in certain situations, but the situations that it's good in tend to be situations where you're winning the game really hard because you can constantly auto-attack safely, or multiple people are taking damage, so there's no focus fire, and no focus fire means you're usually gonna win because area healer, no focus fire, you're in good shape. But we are going to move on to game 2 of eStar versus SoA on Infernal Shrines. SoA does have first pick, first ban. And we are going to see Murden be the ban out. And I actually approve of this. eStar has been playing aggressively with Murden every time they get it. And taking it away from them really limits the options. And eStar has been consistently banning ETC. So they're forced to ban ETC, and we are going to see a no ETC, no Murden game. This is actually something we've been seeing quite a bit in the global wildcard qualifiers that I cast last week. We actually saw this draft happen a few times this exact same way. Murden and ETC were both banned out, and both teams had to dig kind of deep into their hero pools, and it affected the draft dramatically because they wanted to prioritize certain heroes, but they also wanted to make sure they did not get tank locked. SoA, gonna first pick Malfurion. Seems to be the go-to preferred first pick on this map in the Chinese meta right now. We actually haven't seen a game on Infernal Shrines yet where Malfurion wasn't prioritized highly by a Chinese team. And I would not be surprised at all if eStar picked up their tank here. They are going to lock in the Kerrigan for the Shrine Babysitter role, and now I actually kind of expect them to lock in either Vala or the support. And they are going to lock in the Vala. Alright, so we got Kerrigan, Vala for eStar. They're happy with whatever tank they can manage to get out of that. They will have access to both Johanna and Tyrael, assuming they don't get banned out. SoA should probably pick up their tank here, whichever one they do want to pick up. We have seen a lot of Tyrael Malfurion pairings, and we are going to see it again right here. And I imagine that means they're going to do the ban on the Johanna. Pretty straightforward draft so far. They may even ban out. Oh, I stand corrected. They are going to take Tyrael and Johanna. And the question here is eStar doing this so they can ban a third tank and even tank lock even harder? Or are they going to ban the Tassadar to deny that Tassadar-Vala situation? Tychus banned out for eStar. That's not something you see very often. You don't often see the double tank pickup and then Tychus banned, but you can't really have Tychus and Vala on the same team. They kind of do the same thing. Even though Tychus is a little bit tankier, has percent damage, Vala is a little bit less tanky, but has higher average damage, more area damage. But no, they are. SoA is going to continue the tank lock. Chen is going to be the ban. Tassadar is going to be the immediate pickup for eStar. Not surprised about that. They've been doing so well with it, and Rhaegar is going to be the lock for eStar, going for that burst deal. And what's left in the tanking world? Stitches? There was a time when Stitches was considered very valuable on this map because of the E talent, Chew Your Food, plus Last Bite, just give him infinite sustain on the Shrine. And SoA going to pick up Falstad Li Ming to complement their double tank that gives them a global and a lot of damage. Just so much damage. And it is going to be Leoric. They're going to try and punish the Johanna. The area damage from Q is going to do a lot of work helping to clear the shrines. I don't understand why they did not ban Task. They just wanted to isolate the tank so hard, but I don't understand the bans from SoA. I really don't. They needed to ban the Tassadar. The Tassadar has been the linchpin of every eStar comp tonight for 3 games running. It has just been the thing that they were doing, and they're just gonna. When your opponents are doing the same combo over and over and over again, and winning with it, allowing them to have that combo that they're all warmed up on and they're all ready to go on, it's just such a bad decision. I question SoA's choices here. I'm going to put that mildly. I question SoA's decisions. I don't understand why they'd let Tassadar through the draft. I really don't. Why would you do that? I mean, Zarya obviously would have been the pickup to give shields to the Vala, but Zarya shields are nice, but they're not leeching plasma. They're not on a 5-second cooldown. They're not Kala's Embrace. They're not as effective as Tash shields. They're good, and Zarya does more damage, but she doesn't enable Vala in the same way. I just don't understand. So we're gonna have eStar on the left, SoA on the right. We are gonna have a 5-man mid brawl from both teams. We do see XZ just casually trying to get as much damage as possible. Vault out of the root. Root not going to catch anyone. That was a condemn into root. They almost managed to make it work, but not quite. And we're going to see Kerrigan just sort of mounted up in the bush, waiting for someone to overextend. Not going to happen. And Li Ming clearing the wave. Tassadar clearing the wave. Both teams just trying to clear the wave as efficiently as possible. Get the rotation. We're going to see the double jump from Kerrigan. Completely misses the combo. That was not even close. Does dodge the counter damage initiation by Li Ming. Doesn't get any damage put onto her at all, actually. And both teams going to walk away unhappy because neither one really got the damage that they wanted. Neither one got ahead in the rotation, which is what they were really looking for. We are going to see the Leoric Falstad in the top lane. And again, XC just playing super aggressively, breaking the rotation, putting free damage onto SoA's entire 4-man rotation, honestly. And Leoric actually getting completely chunked here by Falstad. Leoric, exceptional against a number of heroes in lane, able to deal with them fairly easily, but they tend to be melee heroes. They are not ranged heroes. He does pick up Hopelessness at level 1, which is going to help a little bit in that regard, but Falstad, especially auto-attack Falstad, can chunk him extremely quickly. And we do see Seasoned Marksman was the pickup. Isn't AA Falstad better than W or Mage Stad? For those of you who saw BlizzCon, you will notice that in the games where Quacknix was dominating on Falstad against Ballistics, Warhead Junction Game 3, he actually went auto-attack Falstad. The benefit of Falstad in the draft is that he can be either a burst hero or a sustained damage hero, and the fact that he can go either way leaves the rest of your draft very flexible. So I think Boomerang is really valuable on Shrines in particular. But in EU, we actually have seen quite a few hybrid builds where you go Seasoned Marksman at 1 and then still pick up the Boomerang at 7 for the burst on maps like Infernal Shrines. We'll be keeping an eye out for that to see if Falstad is doing that in this game. And he's just going for the Seasoned Marksman to complement the fact that he's going to be doing a lot of split soaking, a lot of pushing, a lot of clearing minion waves. And if you're doing a lot of that and using your global to push lanes, you're not going to be going up against enemy heroes as often, so you're not going to get as many stacks of Gathering Storm. Right? So part of it is your comp, and part of it is the overall strategy of what you expect Falstad to be doing in the game. I actually really like the fact that the Chinese and EU teams more often make these small adjustments in their talents to complement the comp that they drafted and don't go the same build every single game regardless. Also, as Progression 28 in chat points out, Marksman did get buffed. It is no longer capped, so you can actually go above the stacks, previous maximum number of stacks. And if this game goes on for a very long time, that will be a factor. In the last game, we did see, with eStar versus Hotslady, we did see Falstad on Hotslady, and pretty much Falstad was split-soaking the entire game. He was basically, on that map, in that matchup, he was countering the Brightwing, and they were both just sort of soaking against each other, sometimes in the off lanes, sometimes in the same lane, but they were all constantly soaking. And if something similar happens in this game, and he does go Seasoned Marksman, he will build it up very quickly, and end up with pretty high stacks if this gets to like level 20. Level 19, that range. Although eStar does play this map fairly aggressively, and I think they could end early if SoA makes any mistakes in the very early game. So we'll have to see how it ends up working out. We are going to resume the game here, however. Leoric still losing that top lane pretty hard. Kerrigan going for the double jumps, looking for the Malf. Nope, Malf just roots and walks away. Kerrigan has had her combo juked every single time so far. And this is the amazing thing about high-level play, that you really know, it sounds silly, but the number of even pro players I've seen just walk into Kerrigan combos is so incredibly high. You really know you're playing with people who are paying a lot of attention when Kerrigan has a hard time just using her combos in initiation. Normally, at the very, very high end, we see something like an ETC, and then the Kerrigan's follow-up. And you only see big Kerrigan combos hit in choke points, when you've already pressured the team enough that they feel like they have to back up, and then as they're walking through that choke, Kerrigan dives in and hits a huge combo. It's usually so common. Oh, Leoric tries to get his W onto Falstad to get that self-healing and immediately regrets it. Has to Wraith walk out. Does live, though. Hardened Bones actually saving in there. The level 4 pickup already there for eStar, but was not yet there for SoA. And we are going to see Malf actually pick up Scouting Drone. This talent was recently reworked. There's no stealth, so it's not the rework doesn't actually matter. But not the Moonburn and not Shando's Clarity actually going for Scouting Drone. They want to make sure that the Vala doesn't get those aggressive flanks that we've been seeing. Beautiful route onto XC, but it does wear off before Li-Ming's Orb gets there. Coming in from the back with the Condemned, Johanna did so much damage onto Vala, but no follow-up. She actually ends up being absolutely fine. She walks back in at a quarter health, but then gets the heal from Rhaegar and gets the Tash Shield. We are going to see Leoric trying to zone Falstad away while Kerrigan's just on the Shrine. And Kerrigan, just so good at racing the Shrine. Once she has that level 4 talent pickup, when she has Siphoning Impact plus Clean Kill, it's basically one monster per second, and she's done. So 40 seconds to race the Shrine, completely clear it. We see it's just about, like, from when the Shrine spawned to when she cleared it, that's about how long it took. And we are going to see Leoric rotating the mid lane. This is another benefit of Leoric on this map that we didn't discuss too much in the draft as a tank. He actually can dual soak 2 lanes. So he can clear the wave, rotate, clear the wave, rotate. That was a temporary 4-man push in the top lane for eStar. They were trying to go fishing through the wall with the Kerrigan combo, but SoA backed up the jump far enough that it didn't work out that way for them. We're going to see Rhaegar rotate the bot lane, make sure the soak does not get missed. And because of the global from Falstad actually pushing in that lane, the experience stays relatively even. SoA is a little bit, got theirs wave first, so they end up catching up a little bit. And then eStar got their wave later, so they do see that we do end up with a half-level lead just about. But half-level is a lot better than a level, which is what we saw eStar secure off the first Punisher in the last game. So SoA already ahead of Hotslady in their performance against eStar on this map. And we're going to see Rhaegar with that Lightning Shield plus Kerrigan actually efficiently do that bottom siege camp extremely quickly. They're going to push in with it, and they're looking for any overextension from the Falstad or the Johanna in the bottom lane. They're mainly looking at the Falstad. We see Tastar rotate down, and now Vala is there as well, pushing in. We do see Leoric just, again, soaking the top lane, and then getting that mid soak. Rhaegar actually going to rotate for the mid soak, so Leoric can stay top. And Leoric up against a melee hero. We're going to see Falstad with the fly in, trying to get the kill on Tyrael, or push in this lane more. Meanwhile, Tyrael's going to rotate out. And SoA just making sure all their lanes are always soaked. They're trying to rotate as efficiently as possible, make the matchups as efficient as possible, Falstad against Leoric as often as possible. And they're just trying to keep that up, but we are going to see again a Condemn miss onto XC. Johanna actually goes... Wow. An unusual talent. We actually see the trait talent coming out of Johanna at level 7. Something we don't see picked up very often. We almost always see it paired with Hold Your Ground at 13 when we do see it. And it actually reduces the cooldown of Johanna's trait every time she uses an ability by 1.5 seconds. It is called the Crusade Marches On. Against stun-heavy compositions where you really want your trait up as often as possible, it is a very reasonable pickup. We just don't see it very often. And I'm curious if that's purely a response to the Kerrigan or if they're also afraid of the Rain of Vengeance follow-up. And we are going to see, again, Kerrigan just on top of the shrine doing so much work. Q, 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 all the time, Q. Look at that. Just every time she Qs to a minion and auto-attacks at once, it just dies. And she's even going deep into the enemy team, looking for a combo and getting on top of those minions, however. And the Orc in the backline is going to finally go down. That is the first kill of the game. This game has been so passive from both teams that neither one's actually yet managed to secure a kill. But Kerrigan still on the shrine, being completely ignored while they try to secure these kills. And XC's going to go so low, but gets out. XC, I think XC's only died once in all the games tonight that he's played Bala. So 3 games, 1 death. That's pretty crazy. Johanna does not back out in time. The Punisher actually jumps on her in the middle of the lane, and it does manage to secure that kill. On the back of that, 10 is picked up for eStar. We actually are going to see the March of the Black King for the Orc, not going for the standard Entomb that we almost always see when he's picked up, regardless of if he's the tank or the off-tank. And we are going to see, again, Kerrigan combo, the double jump. Li Ming ends up going down. And we've seen double jump after double jump after double jump out of Kerrigan this game, and it is insane. I've actually never seen so many double jumps in one game, except for maybe McIntyre games as Kerrigan. Like, he loves his double jumps. I imagine we're going to see the Eviscerate pick up at 13, and it's going to get even scarier. We are going to see the Rhaegar pickup did go Ancestral Healing pretty much as expected. Maelstrom is the pickup for Kerrigan. We actually basically never see anything else. Ultralisk isn't a real heroic. And we're going to see them just push in the bottom lane. They are going to get a lot of damage on the fort here. They're going to back off as SoA does rotate to deal with it. And again, we're just seeing Leoric versus Falstad in the top lane. I'm curious, I want to know how close Falstad is to actually finishing his Season Marksman quest. Fortunately, that's not something, we can't really see it. Dami's Kerrigan did like triples and quads. That's actually true. Dami's Kerrigan is pretty crazy. And we are going to see Sank come down here actually just to save the Li Ming. They're trying to steal this camp. Li Ming actually ends up going down to Feral Lunge. Falstad with the fly in, but this fight's basically over. I can't even believe they're staying. We're going to see Kerrigan pop Maelstrom, getting that extra shield damage, and Strafe is pop. Malfurion ends up going down, drawing Johanna back in. She gets absolutely erased, comboed against the wall. There's no way that could miss. And Falstad trying to 1v on the Orc in the backline here. But Wraithwalk is available. The chase is real. He does get the Q, and Kerrigan comes in with the Ravage for the finish. That's teamwork, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Meanwhile, Siege Camp, pushing, does finish off the bottom fort and the bottom tower. That is 2 forts gone, just gone for SoA. And unfortunately, they lost the 50-50. The Punisher could have been, the next Punisher could have been, actually, couldn't have been. The first Punisher was in the top lane. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So they were going to get a Punisher in a fort, in a lane without a fort regardless. We do see H soloing the Bruiser Camp here in the top lane, getting that pressure, and meanwhile Kerrigan, again, just soloing the Shrine. Q, auto-attack, Q, auto-attack, Q, auto. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Sometimes I go into custom games, I'm not even kidding, sometimes I go into custom games and practice this just because it looks so fun. Every time you do it. We are going to see SoA rotate down to start to try and steal some minions. They're 3 levels down at this point. 2 levels down, you can usually catch up. You can, get to a 15 versus 13 point and fight on an even talent tier. But 14 versus 11, it's usually difficult, if not impossible, to catch up and fight on even talent tier, even if you do have a global to split experience. So SoA was thinking about going in, trying to force a fight there despite the fact that they were down, but they opted against it. And that was the worst possible decision. Either, if you're going to take a risk like that, you got to commit to it. or just not do it at all, because when you don't do it at all, we're going to see the aggressive jump in over the wall, and Sanctification comes down, denying the value from Maelstrom a little bit, but the mobility of Kerrigan is just so good that she manages to get out of there. Good positioning, good maneuverability. Malfurion ends up going down Force Wall, almost denies the disengage, but leaves a little bit of a gap. They do manage to get out of there. This is going to be a keep, pretty much guaranteed. Johanna ends up going down as well. They're trying to get on top of that Tyrael. We do see XC pushing in aggressively on that Vala, and once XC's on top of you and you're that low on health, you're just pretty much guaranteed to die. The Punisher does get finished off, but this is going to be keep. Li Ming trying for the defense, and XC just going in aggressively. Under core, looking for that kill, and Li Ming barely gets away. That was very, very close. Vala is so incredibly aggressive. I can't believe Vala made it through the draft. And more, I can't believe once Vala made it through the draft, Tassadar also made it through with her. Because this combo is so brutal to deal with. Core at 60%, 59, 55. It looks like they are going to be able to end the game here. Everyone's still so high on health, even though they are low on mana. And they have enough damage output. I think it's going to be so incredibly close. XC is still alive, 19%. And we are going to see Kerrigan and Leoric go down 5%, 2, 1. And XC maintains his lead of just not dying. Vala is really scary. Vala with a like Vala by herself is just a scary hero right now, but Vala with a Tassadar, I don't understand why she was left in the draft. That will be 2-0 for eStar again.